Imagine a world where a prince, destined to be a great king, leaves behind a life of unimaginable luxury, a loving wife, and a newborn son. Why? What could possibly compel someone to trade a palace for a path of uncertainty and hardship? This isn't the plot of a blockbuster movie. It's the true story of Siddhartha Gautama, the man who would become the Buddha. Our story begins over 2,500 years ago in Lumbini, nestled in the Himalayan foothills of what is now Nepal. A queen named Maya had a prophetic dream. A white elephant with 6 tusks entered her side. 10 months later, she gave birth to a son, Siddhartha. Sages and soothsayers proclaimed the baby's destiny. He would either be a great emperor, a Chakravartin, or a great spiritual leader, a Buddha. His father, King Siddhartha, was determined to steer his son toward the throne. He shielded Siddhartha from any sight of suffering, old age, or death. The young prince grew up in opulent palaces, surrounded by beauty, pleasure, and every comfort imaginable. He was educated in the arts and sciences, mastered martial skills, and at the age of 16, married the beautiful Princess Yasodhara. For nearly 30 years, Siddhartha lived a life that most of us can only dream of, completely unaware of the reality outside his gilded cage. But you can't shield someone from reality forever. Curiosity eventually got the better of the prince. On a series of chariot rides outside the palace walls, his world was shattered. For the first time, he encountered what are known as the 4 sights. First, he saw an old man, frail and decrepit. His charioteer, Chana, explained that aging is a fate that befalls all beings. Then, he saw a sick person, groaning in pain. Again, Chana explained that illness is a part of life. The third sight was the most shocking, a corpse being carried to its cremation. Siddhartha was confronted with the stark reality of death, an end that no one, not even a prince, could escape. These first 3 sights plunged him into a deep existential crisis. The pleasures of the palace now seemed hollow and meaningless in the face of universal suffering. But then came the 4th sight, a wandering ascetic, a holy man with a shaved head and a simple robe, who radiated a profound sense of peace. In that moment, Siddhartha saw a different path. He saw hope. He realized that if there was a way to understand the cause of suffering, there might also be a way to end it. At the age of 29, under the silent cover of night, Siddhartha made the most difficult decision of his life. He took one last look at his sleeping wife and newborn son, Rahula, and slipped out of the palace. This act, known as the Great Renunciation, wasn't an abandonment of his family in the selfish sense. It was a radical act of compassion for all of humanity. He was leaving to find an answer to suffering that could benefit everyone, including those he loved most. Siddhartha cast off his royal robes, cut his long hair, and began his new life as a homeless wanderer. He sought out the most renowned spiritual teachers of his time, mastering their meditation techniques and philosophical systems. He learned to achieve deep states of concentration, but he found that these states were temporary. They offered an escape, but not a permanent solution. The fundamental problem of suffering remained. Driven by an unshakable resolve, he then joined a group of 5 ascetics who practiced extreme self-mortification. He believed that by punishing the body, he could liberate the spirit. For 6 long years, he subjected himself to unimaginable austerities. He held his breath until his head felt like it would explode. He ate so little, sometimes just a single grain of rice a day, that his body wasted away until he was nothing but skin and bones. He slept on beds of thorns and exposed himself to the blistering sun and freezing nights. But this path, too, led to a dead end. He had nearly starved himself to death, but he was no closer to enlightenment. All he had found was more suffering. Weak and emaciated, Siddhartha collapsed by a river. A young village girl named Sujata, thinking he was a tree spirit, offered him a bowl of milk rice. Accepting it, Siddhartha broke his fast. His 5 companions were disgusted, believing he had given up the quest, and they abandoned him. But this simple act of nourishment was a profound turning point. Siddhartha realized the futility of extremes. The path to truth was not through self-indulgence, nor through self-torture. It was a middle way, a path of balance and moderation. With his strength renewed, he walked to a place now known as Bodh Gaya. He sat beneath a large fig tree, the Bodhi tree, and made a powerful vow. Though my skin and my nerves and my bones may waste away, and my lifeblood dry up, I will not leave this seat until I have attained supreme and complete enlightenment. As he sat in deep meditation, he was assailed by Mara, a demon-like figure personifying temptation, doubt, and fear. Mara sent armies of terrifying monsters to frighten him and visions of beautiful women to seduce him. He questioned Siddhartha's right to seek enlightenment, whispering doubts and insecurities, but Siddhartha remained unmoved. Touching the earth with his hand, he called upon the earth itself to bear witness to his lifetimes of effort and virtue. The earth shook in response, and Mara and his forces fled in defeat. As the morning star rose in the sky, all veils of ignorance lifted from Siddhartha's mind. He saw with perfect clarity the nature of reality, the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, the cause of suffering, craving, and ignorance in the path to its cessation. At the age of 35, Siddhartha Gautama had become the Buddha, the awakened one. For the next 45 years, the Buddha walked the plains of northern India, sharing his profound insights with anyone who would listen, from kings and courtesans to farmers and outcasts. He didn't teach a religion based on a god or blind faith. He taught a practical, psychological, and ethical system, the Dharma, way to understand our own minds and free ourselves from suffering. His first sermon, delivered to the same 5 ascetics who had abandoned him, laid out the 4 noble truths and the Eightfold Path, the very foundation of Buddhism. The story of Siddhartha is not just an ancient tale. It's a timeless human story about questioning the life we're given, confronting the reality of our own mortality, and having the courage to search for a deeper truth. It's a reminder that the greatest journey we can ever take is the journey inward, and that within each of us lies the potential for our own awakening. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey. If you found this story inspiring, please hit the like button, subscribe for more content, and share your thoughts in the comments below. See you next time.